Hello, 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 listeners. We are once again in another solo chat with myself for the podcast this week. Pippa is beautifully navigating through new mamahood. Her and Noah are doing well, and she misses the podcast. We are already working out the ways in which we are going to be able to record our next few episodes. In the meantime, thank you for your patience and the fact we haven't been having them weekly, simply because we're giving Pippa some really nice time just to be in the yumminess and also the challenges of coming into new motherhood and also navigating through step parenting. The first episode that we do back, the two of us, will be all around her birthing story, her journey so far, which has been incredible. And she's so amazing, so incredible, and the challenges and the joys that she's already had so early on in motherhood. So, I feel quite nervous. I feel quite vulnerable going into the topic that I just am getting this deep nudge that the time is right now. So for this episode, I am going to take you on the journey that I've been on with Married at First Sight. For those of you that don't know, my partner, who I've been with since April this year, was in the New Zealand Married at First Sight series that launched this year but was recorded last year. So he did the show, went on the show before we met, and then we met and obviously started dating. And it's been a lot. It's been a lot. And so if you want to hear more about his experience, he has a podcast episode about it in his own podcast. What I'm feeling really called to share is what this has been like for me, because it's actually been huge, and it's been, I think, bigger than either of us really kind of realized at the time. And because it's also just launched into the UK, so it's already showed in New Zealand and Australia, and now they've just launched it into the UK. The energy is coming up again and all of the parts around that. And it's quite a unique experience, and I think it's quite misunderstood. And I think there's a lot of assumptions, and also there was a lot of media around all of this. And it was quite an interesting experience for me to be in and really seeing the way that media portrays things and the way that fame impacts people and the issues that it's still so prevalent in our country and other countries that are not being given the support and the recognition to be able to be transmuted. And so there's a lot of heaviness that's been around this, to be completely honest. There's been a lot of lessons, and that's why one of the reasons that Michael wanted to go into the show was for the experience and for the lessons he would gain from it. And he really did also want to find love. Just turns out I was not on Married at First Sight. I was off there working through all of my stuff, getting ready to meet him. And so I'm going to go through just step by step into what this experience has been for me, because it's not often you're going to hear this perspective. It's not often you're going to get some insight into, first of all, reality TV, but then the potential impacts from it. Because I know this year they also had one of the ex-New Zealand Married at First Sight grooms who died. So there's been lots of stuff that's come up around that as well. And coming from this lens of, obviously, I can only come through my own lens. And so my own lens through this whole journey has been through the place of advocation. I advocate a lot in my work and everything that I do for mental health, for well-being, for discrimination, for bullying, for love, like all of these things that are so passionate to me, I see through those lenses. And so I'm even going to start this conversation of, I'm going to take you into this journey through my experience, knowing full well that other people in this experience may have completely different views on that. And I'm not here to say that something is wrong or right, or that I have the truth, but I have my truth. And my truth is very real. And my truth has taken me into some really big aspects of my own personal development within this experience that a lot of you will never have. And so you can get a little taster, and hopefully it will help you to also maybe question some of the things that we see on TV, some of the things that we read in newspapers, some of the ways that people are depicted in these situations, and just use a little bit more discernment. And also just noticing like what parts of us want to like jump on board like the bandwagon of experiences or conversations or trends, or want to be part of something. Because what I really saw in this whole experience is that people want to be part of something, and there are a whole lot of people that want to be part of the Married at First Sight experience, and whether in positive or negative ways. And the way that we as humans also, if particularly we've had experiences of chaos and drama and a condition for that, we love chaos and drama. Like, it's been really interesting, even some of the comments coming out from some of the UK watchers that are watching our New Zealand show, and they're like, it's so boring, there's no drama. Like, oh, where are the like dinner tables where everyone is fighting? And like, it's just so fascinating. And look, I'm not coming from like a place of, I'm going to be totally honest, there is some judgment because I'm human, but I'm not coming from that place in particular. It's not my intention for us to judge people. It's my intention for us to understand some of the psychology of like what is happening in these situations. And look, you might be a Married at First Sight fan and love it and adore it, and that's amazing. Or you might not at all, or you might have like really high negative connotations with it because you think you know what it is, or maybe you do know what it is. All of that is fine. This is still an opportunity for maybe you to learn something. So, I'm going to start right at the beginning. So when Michael and I first met, when we first connected, we first found each other, manifested one another into our lives, really early on, he shared with me that he had been on a dating show, and that it was going to be aired this year, and that in his contract it stated he wasn't able to publicly state he was dating anyone until a month after the show finished, which is when his contract ended up. And when he shared this, I was like, that's cool. Like, doesn't make a difference to me, obviously, about us publicly, sharing that we were seeing one another. And he said, do you have any questions? And I said, well, not really, because I don't know anything about it. I had never seen the show before. I'd heard of it. I did ask him if that meant he was married. I was like, wait, does that mean you're married? Which he's not, by the way. So it's not a legal wedding. And that was kind of it. And he said, look, I don't know what's going to happen in it. I've seen some of what's happened in other countries and it's blown up. And he also was amazing. He said, look, like if at any point when it does start airing and you just want to take some space, or, whatever it is, I completely support you in that, because you didn't choose this. You didn't choose this, but you chose to be with me. And I was like, honey, no fucking dating show. Reality TV show is going to make me not want to be with you. However, neither of us, I don't think we're really prepared for the impact that happened. So just to give you a little bit, look, again, I'm not going to share with you all of Michael's story. You can go and listen to his podcast episode, but just to give some context into kind of how he ended up on the show, and what it kind of looked like. So real briefly, when the adverts came out for Married at First Sight. He had a number of people tag him in it. He has been on The Apprentice before, which, if you don't know, is another reality show, but it's about essentially getting a contract to launch a new or existing business, which is amazing. He did really well. He came third in it and learned some awesome entrepreneurial skills along the way, obviously, because now he has an incredible business that he has launched and is in. So that was really helpful. So he'd had some experience of like being on TV, which, you know, was kind of helpful if you're going to be doing it again. However, lots of people tagged him in it, like his best friend, his sister, some other people. And at that point, he really was looking for the person. You know, he was like, I truly, like, I'm ready to meet my person, to get married, you know, to look at commitment, because it was kind of this big journey of personal development for him. We had unlocked all the pieces around commitment and the past wounds and all that kind of stuff, and he was really ready. And he honestly was like, maybe I just need to trust the experts. Like, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe they can show me what I can't see myself. You know, maybe I will meet the person. You know, maybe they can do better than what I've been able to do so far, because he hadn't met me. I wasn't ready. I was doing some other stuff. Neither was he really. Anyway, and so yeah, anyway, I applied. And got the phone call, and they saw that obviously he's on The Apprentice, which is helpful for like producers and stuff when someone's used to cameras and all that. They rang him and then said, look, we've got a match for you. And it's very quick, like it's super, super quick, from literally like the phone call to like, great, pack your stuff, we're going to be going like next week. Very, very quick. Yeah, so then he went into the show, was matched with, and I have this like feeling that's coming up with me right now of major discomfort around this, because I've worked so hard on my relationships with women and loving women and being so aware of this awful division and comparison and competition agenda that's between us as women. And I'm so hyper aware of it. And when this all started airing, I spent weeks sending love to this woman, like weeks thinking of her positively and just going, like, I feel as if she was really disappointed by the experience. She was really hurt. There was lots of bitterness. And I just tried every time thoughts would come in around it to stay in this frequency of like not judgment, but just sending love to the situation. Okay. And so what happened was he was matched with someone that was a really bad match. And when Michael first signed up for the show, they told him that unlike the other Married at First Sight shows where there's a big like push on the drama and all that kind of stuff, they told him that New Zealanders love a romance story. New Zealanders love love. And so the angle they were going to be coming from was actually that, as opposed to all of the other stuff. And he was like, great, because he actually watched some of the Australian episodes and he was like, what the fuck? Oh, I don't know if I want to do that. And they said, oh no, it's going to be different. So, and I'm not going to say I know, and maybe they really did think that they were putting two people together that would be good for each other. However, being a relationship and communication coach myself and working in the space of personal development and trauma awareness, I could have looked at that, taken a glimpse and gone, that's not a good match, for a number of reasons. One of which is the fact that Michael is the growth guy, right? We're very similar in that way. He loves personal development, loves growth, like, you know, sees himself as being very spiritual, and was matched with someone that does not do personal development and actually like put her nose up to it, even when there were suggestions around it. Doesn't seem very connected to her spirituality, and it's just on very different life paths. Like, again, it's not that there's no wrong or right, but it's that did not seem like a good match. And it became evident quite early on that it wasn't such a good match. Now, I'm not going to go into like all of the details of what happened in the show, but essentially It was very clear through the comments that she made and everything that was going on that she wasn't physically attracted to him, that felt small around him, felt like she couldn't have her voice, felt like he wasn't respecting. Like lots of things came up where she was really unhappy with the situation. And like some like edits and things that were said, like they would cut out him saying like, how can I support you in that? There were like some things that definitely happened in the show that you're like, and so during it, a lot of Michael's friends have shared this with me as well, is that he really kind of seemed to feel pretty beaten down by the situation, stuck at it, did enjoy like the couples coaching counseling sessions I'd go to, really enjoyed like learning about himself from that, but really started questioning himself during that process, to the point where the month coming out of filming, he went into a really dark place, like really dark. This was about a year ago, really struggled, and part of it was just being in around that, obviously that environment. Yeah, and he added some really amazing things into the show. Like they had him doing breath work with all the guys, and he would call the guys out on like the way they were treating some of the women, even though the guys were, I actually think, in it more in integrity than a lot of the comments around some of the women were. So the comments from the woman. And yeah, was able to kind of do some good, I think, with it. So then the show finishes. Yeah, he's navigating through a lot. We met April, and then the show aired. Now, in the space of time coming up to the show airing, then when the show was actually being shown, and just kind of afterwards as well. So I didn't watch any of the episodes. I didn't watch any of them. I don't own a TV. I don't have a TV. Michael doesn't have a TV either. However, I had friends, obviously, that were really excited just because they wanted to see my partner. My parents, who are like not at all the reality TV people. Like my dad hadn't watched a TV series in like 10 years or something, and they watched like Gaia, but they got on board and like watched every single episode because obviously they were interested in who their daughter was dating. I had friends that got into it, and they would send me like snippets from it and everything. And I followed what was happening through some of the social media stuff because I was interested. And then I had friends and then Michael's family that started noticing something was happening. So his wife from the show was often putting out social media content that was extremely belittling, and very bullying type behavior, specifically directed at Michael. Now, when it all launched, Michael put out, I think there were 3 posts altogether, none with photos of himself and the wife on the show, because he simply didn't want to. He's like, it just feels weird. Like it didn't end well. And then I haven't spoken to her since, and I'm not going to do that just for the promotion because it's, and you do you, boo. But for him, it was just fucking weird and strange because he never did it for the promotion, for the followers, for anything like that. If he did, then he would have promoted the heck out of it, which he didn't. And everybody else did. Most people did in it. So but it's part of his life. So he shared a couple of posts. Like him and Ryan, like his best friend at the wedding, a couple of little bits and pieces. That was it. Never spoke badly about her ever in this space of time. Didn't even speak badly about the show, honestly. Just was like, oh, it was a thing that happened. And also like out of respect to me, obviously, because we're in a relationship, he also chose like not to put photos and stuff of them up because it's weird. And so yeah, I start getting these messages from friends that she's being really nasty, making jokes, constant comments about what he looks like, things he did, like not okay behavior and comments, to the point where when we were on holiday in the Gold Coast, which I think was June, when it was like partway through airing, Michael gets a phone call from the the producers. I got it's the producers. And they said, look, we've seen what's happening. We're really sorry. We're really sorry. We have stopped her having any interviews or anything like that from our end. Like, we're not okay with it. And yeah, we're saying to her, like, we're sorry about the situation. And he's like, look, this is who she was. We're on the show. I'm not even really surprised. Like, she's just showing her true colors. I don't want to get involved in it. And they said to him, because he didn't do any interviews or anything like that. And they said to him, would you like to do an interview with Women's Day? Like, just, on you, on what life is like now. Would you like to do that? And he's like, sure, why not? Okay. And I was with him, like, when this phone call happened, by the way, and when the interview happened. So, yeah. And so, yeah, then when we were on the Gold Coast, he did the interview with Women's Day. And then a few weeks later, that came out. Now, in the space of time, so remembering a month after it finished airing, he still was locked into that contract. So, we're like having, we're out together and people are seeing us out together. And, he's spotted quite a few times when we're out. And obviously they see me with him. That's okay, but it's just not sharing posts. And if I was sharing things, I just wasn't, mentioning anything about him. My photos on the Gold Coast were just like me on the beach. Anyway, I was seeing the impact it was making on him. He wasn't engaging with it, but there was a heaviness, a real heaviness, because he went on to the show to try and find love, and also because he wanted to be okay with people either loving him or hating him, and facing criticism and facing all that kind of stuff, because it's a form of resiliency, right? And a form of it's exposure therapy. And he spoke about this in some interviews leading up to the show. But some stuff was really nasty, like not just from her, but honestly, some of the comments that people were making, if it was the other way around and it was the male speaking in that way towards a female, there would have been a fucking uproar. There would have been an absolute uproar from the feminists, like from the women's rights of how dare you speak about a woman like that. But for some reason, because she was a woman speaking about him like this, it was okay. And I watched this and I watched the impact it was having on him. And then I was in conversations with his sister. So one of his sisters had reached out to this wife and asked her to stop. Like, please, this is not okay. Like, it's not okay. This is my brother. You can be upset about the show, whatever it is, but what you're doing is just not okay. She blocked her, deleted comments that she was making. We even had later down the track Michael's teenage sister, commenting on her TikTok, please, can you stop? This is my brother and it's not okay. And he's been there for me. She lost her mum when she was really young. And Michael's been this amazing person in her life. And so we were trying to do things to stop this, and it was being deleted. Comments were being deleted. The narrative was happening. And it was quite painful, honestly, to witness this happening. And so when we got back from the Gold Coast, I sat with it, and I sat with what my truth is and what I feel like I'm here to do and what's important to me. And I have, from a very young age, when I was a teenager, been someone that advocates when I see things happening in society that do not feel okay and feel as if they're negatively contributing. I have been the one that protests, I was at 18 years old and they tried bringing in some scheme within the teaching system that was not going to look after teachers. And I was out there in my lectures and stuff like that, speaking I'm here to have a voice and to look after people. I've stood up for children's rights and obviously sexual harm prevention and women's rights and men's rights. It's part of who I am and what I know I'm here to do. And so it got to a point where not saying anything was out of alignment with my truths, with who I am and what I'm meant to do in this world. And so I sat with it, and then I just had a conversation with him, and I was like, babe, I'm not okay with this anymore. And it feels like it's at a point where I'm going to say something because it's hurting me to watch this and not do anything. And he was amazing. He's like, look, whatever you do, I support you. I'm here. Like, because he could see the impact it was having on me as well. And so I started commenting on it. And I only commented on a few things. Some of the videos that like on the TV3 social media, where it was just really not okay things on the show that she was doing, and then some comments on her social media around things that she was doing or saying, and it blew up. I actually messaged Michael. I was like, I think I might have started a MAFS shitstorm. Like, and he's like, oh, well, baby. Like, I'm not surprised. And yeah, it got big. And over the space of like a couple of days, yeah, it was, I started becoming fucking attacked. And I'm really proud. I'm super fucking proud of how I stepped into the space, because I did not personally accuse, I didn't make it personal. I called out behavior, very specifically behavior. And I kept coming back to, like, we're in a mental health crisis, suicide crisis, particularly with our men. It is not okay to speak about anyone in this way, especially when it's in a place where you are being watched. You've got all this media attention from being on the show. Why not do something good with it? Like, why not actually do something good with it instead of literally gaining likes and messages and followers for talking shit about someone else? It's just disgusting behavior. Absolutely awful behavior. And so I very specifically, and I'm a very well articulated, intelligent human, I articulated the messages and got to the point where I stopped engaging. I said, hey, look, I've said my piece. I'm hoping something good comes from it. I'm hoping, like, you woman, because one of the other brides came in, actually create some positive impact from this. Like, put your egos aside and go, what's a bigger message? I've now got young women that are going to be watching what I'm doing because they've glorified Married at First Sight. Like, why not it be about empowerment instead of like, it is female empowerment by me treating a man like shit? That's not female empowerment. Like, that's just going, I'm going to take the pain here and put it over here. And I see too often women treating some men badly for the mistakes of other men in their lives. And you can see it clear as day. Like, I see it, it's clear, and it's so prevalent in our society. And this is what happened. He became the target. And also because he literally never responded to anything, never responded to anything at all. So then, as this was kind of happening, his Women's Day interview came out. And it was beautiful. I was like, what's life, what's happening right now? And he said, oh, I did meet someone. She's amazing. Like, she's, great communication, like this. We're having a great time, blah, blah, blah. Spoke about me a bit. Didn't give my name. He wanted to kind of keep that private. But then they said, what do you think about, like, Cara on the show? That's the name of his bride. And he was really honest. He's like, look, been given the opportunity to actually speak into his experience, and he said she's a horrible person, which was his truth. Now, that's not the way that I speak about people. I'm really about calling out behavior. I don't speak about people like that, but that was his chance to really just give a voice into what his experience was without filtering it, by being really authentic. What happened is I got an email from the New Zealand Herald, from one of the journalists from the New Zealand Herald, after this had happened. So in that space, that blew up. I had a lot of people personally coming at me for, like, who I am, my profession. I had people accusing me of being a terrible mother because of my bullying towards her, even though all I was doing was calling out behavior I wasn't like personally saying she was shit or anything. I was just saying, please, can we do better as a society? This is a great learning opportunity. I had people within some of the groups literally take like screenshots of my personal profiles, put me in there and slam me, like absolutely attack the shit out of me, who we then like later found out like she knew the bride anyway. So like pretty nasty stuff coming at me. I had a phone call, an email, sorry, from a journalist from the New Zealand Herald who said, would you like to comment on what's happened with these posts? I ring Michael and I'm like, what should I do? He rings his PR and she's like, don't do anything. This is the same NZ Herald journalist that's been following the show the whole way through. And through those posts, those articles that she'd done through the Herald, there were some really awful comments about men. And it was about the men in the show who, by the way, like showed up and like sensitivity. Not all of them, not every situation, we're all human. But even like some of the conversations the women were having were horrible about them. And they weren't like that at all. And they were really vulnerable and all of that was missed. And there was a lot of man bashing that was happening throughout it. So I declined commenting on it. A New Zealand Herald article then comes out. This is interesting. Like, I've known this about mainstream media for some time, but the way that they twist things. So it's not exact, I won't quote it exactly right, but this is what it is they took Michael's comment that he said about the bride from the Women's Herald article, saying she was a horrible person, put that in quotation marks to make it look like I said it. So the title was like, horrible person, Michael Wilson's girlfriend slams MAFS bride. Purposely making it seem as if I've said that about her, which is not what I would say, because I don't talk about people like that, to try and like blow it up, clickbait, all of the things. I mean, even when they went through and shared the article, it's like, you can see my quotes that they put in. And it's like, I'm not using like bullying language. I'm just like, hey, this is not okay. And then like I got a phone call from one of my jobs, like my talker, my boss, and that, because I was like, do you know what? I'm willing to take the fall from this because I'm just so done with like sitting here and staying silent. I'm not a person that can stay silent, which is so fascinating because like Michael's bride was like, I don't have a voice. Like I can't speak. And I'm like, honey, that's on you. My voice is fucking loud and I'm his partner. Like he doesn't do that. That's if you choose to do that for yourself. I'm probably fucking louder than he is and have more to say and more expressive. And anyway, and I had like because of the way that it had been portrayed, they literally put me out to be a bully. Like it's like I am bullying her. And obviously I advocate in a space for healthy relationships, online safety. I'm teaching teenagers how to navigate through online bullying. So then I was plastered as this person. For anyone that knows me, that is so far from who I am, even if I'm emotionally charged. Like even if I was advocating for my children, like it would not be personal. It would be, let's take a look at what's going on here, guys. And so, it was skewed in that way. I had a phone call and she was like, look, I've been told that you're in this. We need to talk about it. I explained to her the situation. And she was amazing. She's like, we love you. You're an amazing facilitator. I just needed to follow up with it, and all of that. And okay, so I didn't, since saying I'm not engaging in this anymore, I didn't, and I haven't since. So I haven't engaged in anything. I don't, even though I've still had comments coming, like even the other day, someone was trying to like put a comment of like how I'm this and I'm that and I'm vile and I'm all these things and whatever it is. And so like we kind of came out the other side of that and there were lots of emotions around it and just like lots of frustrations and just lots of feelings around the downfalls of society. And like the ugliness of society. And one of the things that I moved through and really did a lot of processing with at the time is actually sitting in how ugly society can be. And because I'm so blessed to have so many incredible friends, particularly women, like, oh, phenomenal, incredible, powerful, grounded, loving woman in my life. I didn't have to, I chose to sit with like the ugliness of the feminine, like the bitter, ego-based, hurting other people, like passive aggressive behaviors of women. And so it was an opportunity for me to kind of step outside of my bubble and go, shit, we've still got so much work to do. We've still got a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of people that really need help to hinder this projection of pain onto other people, the lack of effective communication skills, the lack of emotional regulation, the lack of self-accountability. And so it was a deep, kind of dark process of sitting and integrating some of what is still so prevalent in our society and of what I normally don't choose to interact with. And so, yeah, now with like even Michael and I had a recent conversation and just kind of spoke into actually like the impact some of that had on him, and then like how that kind of is, there's just pieces of it that are still kind of rolling and unraveling. And then obviously with now it airing over in the UK, the energy is like back up again. And this is why I've been having this nudge, because I didn't really speak about it at the time. I would have made mention to it a little bit in the podcast. Part of that was just to honor his contract, and and the fact that there wasn't much we could say, and also because I still was kind of processing a lot of it and being really like accountable. Like I said, I spent weeks like sending this woman love, like actually weeks of, I just hope that she does find the man. Like, I hope she works on herself. I hope she learned something from this. Like, I hope. And to this point where I was like, okay, now I just need to feel some of the anger. Like, now I need to be like, what bitch? Like, wait a minute. This is not okay. Like this is actually a point where I'm like, look, I've sent you a lot of love, and now it's time to call out the behavior, because love and love for self and love for the people we care about sometimes means being like, this is not okay. Like, these are the boundaries. This needs to stop. And unfortunately, it hasn't stopped. Like, I know even after that, like, I'm not even on TikTok. I'm not on the things, but I still, like, I have friends tell me and stuff like that. And I've had friends and even people I don't know. I had people reach out to me, strangers reach out to me, supporting me and like commenting on things and being like, you're so right. And like, thank you so much for saying it, because so many people have seen what she's doing and it's not okay. And it was kind of like being able to be a permission slip. Look, I'll put myself in the firing line so that other people can find their own voices and speak about something that people are so uncomfortable speaking about and calling out behaviors. And so, yeah, I know there's still some stuff that is going on, and I don't think there's been changes, and I don't think there's been accountability. And you know what? It's at this point, when you have to then just surrender and go, okay, well, I can feel good about doing what I could to try and create the change that's needed, and then go, whatever happens after this is not my responsibility. But in terms of also who I want to be as a partner, like who I am as a partner is, no matter what the setting is, if someone was in my space, online, in person, speaking negatively, and not even in a like constructive way, but just putting down in such an ugly way, the man that I love and care about, you better bet I'm going to say something about it. Like, why would you not? Because if you don't, it's that you're so afraid of the repercussions. And, there have been times in my life where I've stayed small and I've stayed silent and I haven't used my voice, but I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that woman anymore. And honoring the people that we love sometimes means doing uncomfortable things. And like I said, it'd be the same if it was my kid, if it was one of my friends. In fact, it has been. It's been all those situations, and I've done the same thing. It's just this was on a much more public scale. And then, you know, me sitting with being okay that people were hating me. Like being okay, but still feeling all of the feelings around being judged, misunderstood, having who I am as a person questioned, who I am as a mother questioned, like my intentions questioned, like my authority, my authenticity, like all of these things. And I'm not saying it was super easy. You know, there were like some days where I just like wept and just feeling the pain of that, because, you know, as humans, we all want to be understood and accepted. It's a core human need. However, being able to just be a bit more okay with it, and like what I also experienced is a fraction of what Michael experienced, a fraction. However, it did give me a really good opportunity to get an insight into what he was going through. And it helped me to have that empathy as opposed to sympathy. And it's not why I did it. I did it because it was the right thing to do at the time, and I didn't know what was going to happen afterwards. But it definitely just helped me understand part of what he was going through as well. And then here we are today. And here we are today, and I'm in the most absolutely stunning and all encapsulating, deep, raw, loving, expansive, activating, authentic, and honest relationship. And I do believe that that experience did bring us together. You know, it helped us to understand one another more and communicate. And even him getting to have my support, and he had incredible support from family and friends and stuff. But through all of that was really beautiful. And although the relationship experts got it super wrong when they told him he needed to be less in order to find a woman that would be able to be compatible, like, no. I actually am the opposite, because I've been told I'm too big my whole life. And then I'm like, oh, give me more of you, baby. Like more. Like I want more. I want more of you in the world. Like I see you and I honor you. And there is no part of me that wants to make you smaller, because I'm not making myself smaller in your presence. And we actually had, like, just to finish, we had a conversation about this one day, because we're both like main character energies, you know. We own ourselves. We own our space because we've fucking earned it. Like we have worked through the shit that was keeping us small our whole lives. You know, we have both been in years and years and years. I'm like a decade into personal development, you know, like we own it now. And so I said to him one day, I was like, what do you do in a relationship when there's like two main characters? And he was like, well, we just take turns. I was like, perfect. And we do. We take turns like being in like high energy, and sometimes the other one is in low, and we take turns holding space for one another. And we take turns like calling one another out, and our accountability and integrity that we hold is really important in the relationship. And it's like, I love that we get to give people that we care about these amazing gifts, even when so much of society will tell them there's something wrong with them, you know, and you get to go in and be like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's no perfect version of us. But all that's happened is that you haven't had someone that's understood you or had the willingness to understand you at a level and really get to know you and see you. And then you called someone in that is exactly that, and also has the willingness to be seen and has the willingness to be vulnerable. So we get to meet one another in that place. So if you feel like Your bigness intimidates people, or you feel as if you've been told to be a different way by society, by standards, by family, by ex-partners, or whoever it is. This is my reminder to you that it's all about just finding your people that will have your back no matter what and will celebrate exactly who you are instead of trying to turn you into someone else in order to make themselves comfortable or you more digestible. Because I'm so fucking done with that. Like, I'm so done. I'm so done with that. And I'm here celebrating you to be so much more of you. Like, how much more of your gifts can you bring? How much more of your voice? How much more of your love, your play, your pleasure, your expression, your authenticity, your magic? Because that's what's needed going forward. No more littling, like no more making ourselves small so that it's convenient for other people. Let's be done. Put that to rest with love. Next chapter. I love y'all. Thank you for being in this with me. I'm hoping that, and my intention is that you can take something from it that you can apply into life, or maybe just give you a more of an insight into what happens within these areas, because I didn't know until I was in it. And even just getting to know me a bit more in this, because this was like a big experience for me, kind of like continues to be in some ways, and has helped to shape and change things about the way that I see things and the way that I am too. So look after yourselves. I may do another solo episode, we'll see, or the next one might be with beautiful Pippa and Noah. I love you. Take care. Mwah, mwah, mwah.